Hi and welcome. In today's video, we're going to be putting Titleist's cheapest golf ball, the TruFeel, through the testing process to see if it's a ball that you should be putting in play for 2026. I'll be doing my standard ball test on the Titleist TruFeel, so we'll look at sand wedge shots from 50 yards to see how the ball launches and what the spin is like from this golf ball. I'll then hit some 8-iron shots at my speed and we'll see if we're getting the distance that we require and how we're achieving that distance. And then I'll smash some drivers and we'll make sure that we're maximising ball speed from club head speed and that this ball isn't either particularly slow or creating some really bad golf shots. We'll then repeat the 8-iron test at average golfer's speed, which is around about 70-75 miles an hour, to see how the ball performs. And then I'll be hitting some drivers at average golfer speed of around 95 miles an hour, again, just to make sure that this ball will perform for most golfers. Once we've hit some golf balls, we'll look at the numbers. And then we'll cut the golf ball open just to make sure there's nothing really unusual happening in this golf ball and to just confirm that the quality of manufacture from what we can see with a small sample size is actually pretty decent. Okay, so by budget golf balls, I'm talking golf balls that are retailing for around about or under £30 per dozen in the UK and about $30 in the US. And we're looking to try and find which golf balls are actually good and are worth spending money on. And I'll pop something up here, so as if you've missed any of the other videos, you can check those out. Right, so let's go hit these golf balls on the launch monitor and we'll come back and we'll have a look at some of the data. Well, I tell you what, that's an awful lot of golf balls that I hit out there, but it was great fun. Now, just before we go check out the data, now's a really great time to subscribe to the channel, especially if you're a golfer that's looking to try and improve through 2026 and beyond. I've already produced a bunch of content to help you get better, but coming in 2026 will be a lot of diverse content, all aimed at helping players play better golf and enjoy this game even more than they do already. So let's pop the data up here first of all for the 50-yard sand wedge shot as we normally do. And let's have a look at this data. Now we can see that actually the spin numbers of this golf ball aren't that bad at just over 5,700. It's not up there with tour level golf balls, but it is on the high end of some of the budget stuff that we've seen to date. So actually that's not bad, and it's probably just about enough spin to be able to create some kind of control into the greens. My issue, unfortunately, with this golf ball, though, again, is an issue that I have with a lot of the golf balls. And you can see that when we look at that vertical launch angle, again, we're up at 32 degrees. And we saw this from the velocity. Now, that's high even compared to some of the other golf balls in this category. And again, I was hitting the roof of my net before I was hitting the back of my net playing these shots. So the ball does have really good spin, which is positive. But for me, it just launches a little bit too high. Now, the combination of that might work okay, but I would prefer that the ball would be launching under 30 degrees with that spin number to be able to get that ball into the green and hopefully get a little bit of a grab. Spin numbers, not bad. Launch, not unexpected, but not great. Okay, so when we talk about our mid-iron shots, like our 7 and 8 iron shots, I've hit 8 iron here, you've already probably know, if you watched any of my other videos, that what we tend to find is that balls just generally carry about the same distance. It's just a question of how they get there. So premium golf balls tend to launch lower and spin more, and budget golf balls tend to launch really high with lower spin. So let's have a little look at these figures for the Titleist TruFeel. So the Titleist TruFeel was spinning at just over 5,700, which again is quite a reasonable number for the golf ball. It was still launching quite high, as you can see from these figures, but the distance I was getting was very much in line with all of the other golf balls that I tend to see, and not really a massive surprise. So if we head now to driver at my speed, you'll see I was just over 107 miles an hour, which puts me roughly in line with my other tests. But we can see the ball speed wasn't getting up to 160, it was only just over 158. So this ball is actually not creating as much ball speed per club head speed as some of the other balls that we've seen to date. But having said that, it's still a little bit better than some of the other softer balls that it's in direct competition with. From a spin perspective, the ball actually spun in a reasonable number, 2,500. Now, some people may consider that to be quite high. I quite like to see my driver spinning between about 2.3 and 2.5, as I feel it gives me control and allows the ball to stay up in the air. And that was giving me a total distance of around about 257 yards in carry, which is pretty decent. Not quite as long as the longest, but certainly longer than some of the other soft balls that this is in direct competition with. So looking at 8 iron at average golfer's speed, we can see that the ball is doing pretty much what I would expect it to do. It's launching reasonably high, it's spinning reasonably nicely, and the distance that it's travelling of around about 125 yards is actually pretty reasonable and well in line with a lot of the other golf balls that we see. And again, this is no real surprise. So with the driver at average speed, what we can see is that the ball's just not travelling quite as far. The ball speed's just not quite as high as some of the highest ones that we've seen. But alternately, it is again faring quite well against its direct competition of things like Callaway Super Soft and Amazon Basics, and it's actually retaining a little bit more ball speed than those are. With a spin number of just under 2,500 for me, again that sits in that nice comfortable window, and with a carry distance of just over 210 yards, this ball is firmly in that kind of solid distance that I would expect these balls to appear in, so not too bad. Right, so let's get this golf ball cut open, and again, no surprise, it's nothing particularly spectacular. It's a 2-piece ionomer covered ball, and there's nothing there in this small sample size to say that there's any issues with manufacturing. It's got a big solid core and a big thick ionomer cover. Right, so before we finish off, let's cover my conclusions here, and then let's add the Titleist TruFeel into our budget golf ball rankings. So the Titleist TruFeel is a very solid middle of the road budget golf ball. It's actually slightly cheaper than the Velocity and puts it in basically the same price range as the Super Soft. And actually for me personally, I think it's slightly better than the Super Soft. It retains slightly better ball speeds and it can hold a little bit more spin, which I think is actually quite important and something that is beneficial to a lot of golfers. So in actuality, it's a pretty decent golf ball. Could I play this as a golf ball? Yes, I could play this as a golf ball. It probably doesn't have the speed that I would quite like, although the spin numbers are reasonable, and I still have concerns about launch at 50-yard golf shots, but I think it's playable. The ball felt reasonably nice to hit. It didn't feel quite as soft as the Super Soft, and certainly not as soft as the Amazon Basics, but it certainly didn't feel hard and rock-like. It's got a compression of about 50, but I would say it actually felt playable and not too soft, but not too hard, so it seems to sit in quite a nice window, and I think that's where it manages to maintain a little bit more ball speed, but also feel reasonably soft. Okay, so let's now add the Titleist TruFeel ball into our ball rankings. You can see I've still got the Callaway Warbird Distance Plus as my #1 ball. Its performance was great and its price is fantastic. However, I'm now going to pop the TruFeel into the number 2 spot in my rankings ahead of Velocity. I think it's just a better general overall ball, and although maybe not quite as quick off the driver, the gains that you get in other areas I think are obviously worth that. That drops the velocity down, and that also then drops the Callaway Super Soft down, and the Amazon golf ball remains at the bottom of my rankings for now. Right, there's still loads of budget golf balls for us to test, so if there's anything specific you'd like me to test, pop that down in the comments, and if I can, I will. So that was a very interesting test, and to be honest with the Titleist TruFeel, it's quite a middle of the road average golf ball. It's not bad, it's just about soft enough for people who like soft golf balls. It's just about firm enough to be able to maintain some level of performance for people. So in general, I would say it's certainly worth a try if you still like a soft golf ball, but you feel that some of the other soft golf balls are impacting distance and performance. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so as you can keep up to date with all the content that I'm creating, and check out this video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. I'm Graham, and I'll catch you on the course soon.